The sun hung low, but the heat was still unbearable. The Mwana River, which only months ago had been a roaring lifeline through the reserve, was now little more than a thin, muddy ribbon twisting between cracked banks. Dry season had stripped the land of its softness, leaving behind brittle grass, dust, and the scent of thirst. Ranger Ian Cameron adjusted the strap of his rifle across his back as he moved along the fading riverbank. His boots crunched on parched earth, the sound loud in the stillness. For days, his patrol had been tracking signs of leopard activity, or rather, the absence of it. The animals had moved deeper into the forest, following shrinking water sources. But this morning, the call from a nearby herder had sent Ian here. A strange, weak crying had been heard in the reeds by the river. It was the kind of sound that stayed in your head. He stopped to listen. The world seemed to hold its breath. The wind rattled the dry reeds. Somewhere in the distance, a hornbill called once, then fell silent. Then he heard it, thin, pitiful, like a kitten's mewl but lower, more urgent. It came from the thick tangle of papyrus near the edge of the water. Ian stepped carefully, his eyes scanning the ground for fresh tracks. There, soft indentations in the mud. Too small to be an adult leopard, but the pattern was unmistakable. Beside them were deeper prints, larger, but only a few, and they stopped abruptly. His chest tightened. The mother had been here, but not recently. The crying came again, weaker now. He pushed through the tall grass, the papyrus brushing his shoulders. The smell hit him first, a faint, sour scent of weakness and fear. Then he saw it. A leopard cub, no more than 3 months old, crouched low in the reeds. Its golden coat was dull, the rosettes blurred under dust and grime. Its ribs were sharp against its skin, its belly sunken. Mud clung to its paws and chin as if it had tried to drink from the river but lacked the strength. Its eyes were wide but unfocused, following his movements sluggishly. Ian crouched, lowering himself to the cub's level. "Easy, little one," he murmured. "You're safe now." His voice was calm, but inside he felt the weight of the moment. Alone, in this heat, the cub would not last another day. He scanned the area. No mother. No fresh scent. No tracks of a recent kill. But there were other tracks, hyenas, not far off. They had been here recently, their prints deep in the mud where they had drunk from the same shrinking pool. A flicker of movement to his right made him turn. Through the reeds, he saw them, 2 hyenas, their mottled coats blending with the tall grass. They hadn't noticed him yet, but they would soon. The cub gave a faint, desperate mewl that seemed to carry across the water. Ian's training took over. He keyed his radio. "Base, this is Cameron. I've located a leopard cub, severely undernourished. Hyena activity in the immediate vicinity. Request immediate veterinary support and backup for wildlife deterrence. Over." Static, then a voice, "Copy that, Cameron. Dr. Nyla is en route with a team. Hold position. Hold position." That was easier said than done. The hyenas began to circle, curious but cautious. Ian stood, his hand resting on the butt of his rifle. He didn't want to shoot unless absolutely necessary, but he wouldn't let them get close. He shouted sharply, stepping toward them, and they paused. One flattened its ears, the other bared its teeth in a grin that wasn't friendly. Minutes stretched like hours until the sound of a diesel engine broke through the tension. A white Land Cruiser came into view, dust swirling behind it. Dr. Nyla Maru jumped out before the vehicle had fully stopped, her medical kit slung over one shoulder. "Where is it?" she called. Ian pointed to the reeds. "Under there. Weak, dehydrated. Hyenas nearby." Nyla knelt beside the cub, speaking softly as she reached out. The cub hissed faintly, but it was more instinct than threat. She examined it quickly, her brow furrowing. "Severe dehydration," she said. "Malnourished, possibly days without the mother. We need to get it out of here now." Ian kept watch while Nyla prepared a syringe with electrolyte solution. The hyenas lingered, pacing in the grass, but the presence of more people, and the growl of the vehicle's engine, finally drove them off. Nyla worked quickly, trickling water into the cub's mouth with a syringe, then giving a small injection under the skin. The cub swallowed weakly, its eyes fluttering closed for a moment before opening again. "Okay, little one," she murmured, "let's get you home." They placed the cub in a padded crate in the back of the Land Cruiser. As they drove, Nyla kept her hand inside to monitor its breathing. The ride was rough, but the cub remained still, its sides rising and falling in shallow rhythm. At the rehabilitation center, the cub was weighed, barely 4.7 kilograms, dangerously underweight for its age. Blood samples confirmed severe dehydration and nutritional deficiency. Nyla started it on small, frequent feedings of milk replacer mixed with minced meat, along with antibiotics to ward off infection. The first 2 days were critical. The cub refused food at times, too weak to chew, but Nyla and Ian persisted, feeding it drop by drop if necessary. Slowly, its eyes grew brighter. It began to watch them as they moved, a spark of awareness returning. They named her Lami, meaning beloved, in the local language. As weeks passed, Lami's ribs became less visible. She learned to climb the small tree in her outdoor enclosure, to stalk a toy dragged along the ground by Ian. The dullness left her coat, replaced by the sleek shine of a healthy young predator. But Ian knew she could not stay. Leopards belonged to the wild, and Lami's future was out there. 3 months later, on a cool morning after the first rains, they drove back to the Mwana River, now fuller, its banks green again. Nyla had chosen a stretch of woodland upstream from where Lami had been found, far from hyena territories and close to abundant prey. They carried the crate to the edge of the trees. Ian unlatched the door and stepped back. Lami hesitated, her nose twitching as she tested the air. Then, with a low, fluid movement, she stepped out. She paused once, glancing back at Ian, her golden eyes bright in the dappled light. Then she was gone, melting into the shadows of the riverbank reeds, the same reeds where she had once lain, too weak to move. Ian listened for a moment to the soft rustle of leaves, then smiled faintly. She had her second chance. And in the heart of the savannah, that was everything. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe to support the channel. See you in the next episodes.